division, go ahead and raise your hand. Yeah, I see a couple people responding, area and division. Okay. Well, I will clear that. So just to be clear about what I'll be covering today, I'm focused on your role as contest chair. I will speak a little specifically about various levels of contest, but the primary focus of this is individuals who are serving as contest chair. If you are serving as a chief judge, this would be helpful to you. If you are serving in any other role in a contest, this will be probably helpful to you. But primarily, I'm looking at people who are contest chairs and what the responsibilities and roles and tasks are for the contest chair, not specifically for people in other roles. I'll try to get on screen here. All right. And I'll go through this in a timeline fashion, what you need to do before the contest, leading up to it, and what you need to do at and during the contest. First of all, I want to be clear about certain resources that are available to you. The rule book is your key resource. The contest rule book is what answers most questions that you have. If you have not read the rule book, you should do that now. You should do that before you serve as a contest chair. In fact, you should do that before you participate in a contest at any level, in any capacity. The contest rule book is available on the international website. I will try to post it in the chat here so that you have the contest rule book available. Okay, let's see here. There we go. All right, that should be available in the chat now for you to look at. The contest rule book is your Bible for the contest. It's what you follow. If someone asks you about a specific rule and you look it up and you don't find the rule in the rule book, then it's not a rule. If you find the rule in the rule book, then that's what you're supposed to follow. It will give you guidance about how many judges you need to have at each level of the contest as well. In addition to the contest rulebook, other resources that are available, and sorry, my computer is being a little slow and things are not responding quite the way they're supposed to. Okay. Toastmasters International website, toastmasters.org resources speech contest gives you lots of tools that are available and helpful information for contests. You can send questions to Toastmasters International, speech contest at toastmasters.org. Write that address down so that you have it available. If you have specifics, questions that come up that you cannot find the answer in the rule book for, you can contact Toastmasters International for those answers. District 7 also is available to help you. If you are conducting a club contest and have specific questions, you can contact your area director. Your area director can also contact your division director. You can also contact Gabrielle PQD at d7toastmasters.org if you have specific questions that you didn't get answered otherwise. Those are resources that are available for you to get answers. Now, looking at the specific timeline of what needs to be done, the first thing that you need to do, first step, set the date for the contest. And I'm sorry, but my computer is being extremely slow at responding to the clicks to move the slides forward. I'm going to try to see if I can step this up, see if I can get it to respond better. When you're setting the dates, be aware of availability of venue so that you're able to make use of a space that is adequate for the contest. When you're looking for a space adequate for a contest, be certain that you're taking into account what type of contest it is. If it's a table topics contest, you need to have a space separate from the main competition room where people can go to, where you can take the contestants out and then bring them back in. Also, for most contests, you'll want to have a separate room where the ballot counting can be done. So always take into account what space you need. That's detailed in the rule book, but as contest chair, you want to be sure to consider what space you will need and then get that scheduled in. Plan the budget. There may be expenses that you will have. For example, if you're conducting a division contest, the district will provide trophies. If you are planning a club contest, you need to decide as a club whether you are going to have any trophies or ribbons or awards of any kind of prize for the winners. That's up to the club to decide. So you want to set the budget for that. Also, if you want to have any budget for refreshments or if the space will have any cost to it, be sure to get that figured out ahead of time. Okay. At least 4 weeks prior to the contest, you want to have your chief judge recruited. Now, I say at least on everything that I say for the timeline, I say at least because that's really your deadline for getting it done. You can get it done much earlier than that, but if you don't get it done by then, then you start falling behind and will need to do catch up. So at least 4 weeks prior, have your chief judge. Then with your chief judge, you will recruit the rest of the contest staff. The amount of staff that you need is outlined in the rule book. So you want to look at that and figure out exactly which staff you'll need. How many judges do you need? You need a tiebreaker judge in addition to the chief judge. How many timers do you need? How many people do you need to serve as sergeant at arms? How many ballot counters do you need? Get that worked up so that you can recruit all of those. When you recruit them, you want to be sure as well that they are all familiar with their roles. So you want to determine the agenda. So you have that set. The purpose of having the agenda set well in advance is so that you know when the contestant briefing and staff briefing will take place, so you can let them know exactly when they need to be there. If you do the briefings at the same time as the contest, perhaps right before the contest, you want to be certain that they know to get there early to be there for the briefing. In some cases, you might be able to do the briefing on a day prior to the contest. If you're able to do that, you want to be certain that they're able to be there for that briefing. You could, for example, do the briefing online and then have everyone ready for the contest. But most likely, you will have the briefings at the time of the contest, right before the contest begins. You want to be sure everyone is familiar with that. It's also good for contestants to know, for example, when you're doing a speech contest and table topics contest, they'll want to know which one is first because some people may be participating in both, some may be participating in only one, and it'll help them to be better prepared if they know whether they're coming up first or coming up second in the contest. You need to determine how many contestants advance to the next level. In the club, it's determined by how many clubs are in good standing 8 weeks prior to the area contest. You'll want to communicate with your area director, be clear about how many of your contestants from your club will move on to the area level. At the area, it's determined by how many areas are in the division. So that's already known because of the number of areas that are in each division. So, for example, if you're in divisions A, B, and E, I believe it is, A, B, and E, you would have 2 contestants from each club, and in areas C and D, you'd have 1 contestant from each club. And Gabriella can confirm that for me and just make sure that I'm informing you correctly. But you just want to be clear how many contestants move to the next level so that when you inform the contestants, they will know if first and second place or only first place move on to the next level. You'll still want to inform them as well that even if they did not come in first or come in first and second, they should still go to the next level contest just in case someone who finished above them is not able to be there and is not able to compete for any reason. That does happen. There have been many times when someone fully intended to be at the contest and then something happened, came up and prevented them from being there. So the next person down the line had to compete. We actually had a time at a district contest where we had to go down to, I think, the fifth place person to compete from the division because the other contestants were not able to be there. Want to publicize to the clubs when the contest is and where the contest will be. So publicize that information to the clubs 4 weeks prior to the contest so that they can be prepared, and anyone in their club who plans to compete will be prepared. Anyone who plans to be there to support their competitors will be prepared. Now that's publicizing to the clubs is one step. Officially notifying the contestants is another step. And I actually ask you to publicize to the clubs 4 weeks in advance so that you have that information getting out there. Hopefully then all of the contestants would know, but you'll officially notify the contestants separately, and that should be at least 2 weeks prior. It could be 4 weeks prior, but it should be at least 2. I'm going to advance the slide here. So, yeah. All right, at least 2 weeks prior. That's what I was saying about notify all the contestants. And when you give the contestants official notice of the date, time, and location of the contest, inform them of the time for the briefing and how to participate in the briefing, and provide them with a contest packet. The contest packet would include the forms that they need to complete and return to you, as well as a rule book. Send each contestant a copy of the rule book to make certain that they are fully familiar with the rules. There have been times when a contestant participated and moved forward, and then they were informed that they were in violation of a particular rule, and they said, "Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was rule." Well, make sure they have a copy of the rule book and remind them to read it so that they know if there's anything that applies to them, they have no excuse. Okay. Order any needed equipment at least a couple weeks in advance. That includes if you need audio-visual equipment for the venue that you're at, if you need awards or trophies, any refreshments that you want to arrange for, get that done in advance. Notify the media if there are local media that would be interested in the Toastmasters contest. Be sure to send them notice so that they could potentially have a photographer there or have someone there to cover the event. And in some cases, it could be a very interesting community event for the local media. And at least 1 week prior, confirm all of the eligibility. You can do this 8 weeks prior if you have all the information, but at least make certain that 1 week prior you confirm that all the contestants are eligible. That includes their membership, their educational level, and any exclusions that would exclude them. For example, if they are a district officer, or if they served as a contest official or competed in a different contest for the same type this same year. For example, if someone went to another club and served as a judge at their speech contest, that makes them ineligible to be a contestant in your speech contest because they already served as a judge in another speech contest. That's something that you'll want to be sure the chief judge is aware of as well. But you as contest chair are actually responsible for determining eligibility and determining that someone is or is not eligible to compete in the contest. What you don't want to have happen is someone competes in the contest, They then go up to the next level, they compete, they win, they go up to the next level and compete, and then they are informed, sorry, you were not eligible at the time of your club contest, and so you are therefore not eligible to compete any further. We've had that happen. It's not good when it happens. You want to test and confirm that any equipment that you have for the event works. It can be difficult if you don't have access to the venue, but you do want to be able to get in there, get access if you can, and test it out to ensure that it works so that you're not caught by surprise on the day of event when you go in and discover there's no place to plug this in, or discover that something is not going to serve or work properly. Okay. Print up all of the forms that are necessary for the contest, or you may order a packet from Toastmaster International, or you could arrange for someone else who is there helping you with the contest to bring all of the printed forms. But as contest chair, you want to ensure that you will have all of the printed forms there. In some cases, the chief judge might take care of that, but that's up to you to coordinate with them to ensure that all of the forms that are necessary are there for the contest. Okay. And confirm the details for the next level contest. If the contestants are going to go on to the area contest, you want to be able to give them all the information of when the area contest will occur. Or if you're at the area, make sure you have the details for the division contest. That includes how many will move forward, as well as when and where the contest will take place. Okay. At the contest, prior to opening the contest, confirm that the chief judge holds the briefing with all of the contest staff. And when I say all staff, I mean that's not just the judges, it's also the sergeants at arms, the timers, the ballot counters, so that the chief judge ensures that everyone is aware of what all the rules are that they're supposed to apply, what their role is, and how they can ensure that we have a smooth contest. Also, the chief judge needs to be certain that all of the contest officials are present and that all the roles are filled and that they're all eligible to serve in the roles that they're supposed to serve in. Okay. Make sure everyone has the correct forms. If you coordinate with the chief judge, then prior to the contest, you can ensure that everyone has those forms in hand to be able to use during the contest. You conduct the briefing with the contestants. When you're conducting the briefing with the contestants, you want to confirm first that they are present. If a contestant is not able to attend the briefing, you need to have them waive the briefing and state that they waive their right to the briefing because they were not able to be there. That's in the rule book. It's a separate step, but try to get everyone there for the briefing. At the briefing, confirm that you have their forms completed and correct. The forms will go to the Toastmaster of the event. As contest chair, you are not necessarily the Toastmaster. So remember that the Toastmaster of the event is the one that needs to have the contestant profile form that has the speech title as well as their background information that they can use when interviewing contestants during the contest. But as contest chair, you want to ensure that all the forms are completed properly. You want to confirm that the Toastmaster has the correct pronunciation of the names as well as the correct speech titles. Pronunciation is important, and you want to be certain that the contestants are introduced correctly. It could throw someone off if the Toastmaster is up there introducing speakers and then they mess up a person's name and say it completely wrongly. That could actually disrupt the speaker's preparation for the speech and how they react. So you want to be certain that the Toastmaster has proper pronunciation. Ask contestants if they require any props. And if they have any prop requirements, that could include setting up a chair, could include having something available on the side for them to grab as they're going out to speak. They should coordinate with Sergeant at Arms on that, just to have it. It is their responsibility, the speaker's responsibility, to have their props ready and available, but they can coordinate with Sergeant at Arms to ensure that the prop is in place. Okay. Want to confirm again that the contestants are familiar with the space as well as where the location of timing signals are. I have had a situation where a contestant after a contest said, I had no idea where the lights were, even though the lights were placed right in the front. The signal light, timing light was placed right in the front in the center. The contestant didn't notice it when they got up there. So you want to point it out to them to ensure that the contestants know where the signal light is, and they'll be able to watch it during the performance. Confirm with them again that they are familiar with the rules, including any eligibility requirements that they might miss or originality. You want to be certain that they have reviewed the rule book regarding their eligibility. There have been cases where a speaker comes up to compete and then says, oh, I didn't realize that was a rule. Well, they need to be familiar with the rule. One of the rules that contestants might forget about at times is that in a speech contest, the contestant cannot refer to a prior speaker's speech at that contest. It may be someone is sitting there listening to the other speakers, and then they get a thought in their mind because of something another speaker said. So when they get up to give their speech, they make a reference to this prior speaker. That makes their speech ineligible because it is a rule that they cannot refer to a prior speaker in that contest, because it makes it unfair. If a later speaker can refer back to something that a prior speaker said, that prior speaker did not have the same opportunity to refer to another speaker. So that's a rule. Make sure that they're familiar with that. Make certain that they are familiar with the eligibility requirements that they should have already met, but this is a final confirmation to ensure that nobody slipped in and said, oh, I didn't realize just because I competed in that other area, I cannot compete in this area. They have to be aware of those requirements. Okay. Confirm with the chief judge a method that you will use to signal if the chief judge needs to have the meeting paused in order to deal with a protest or deal with any issues regarding the judging of the contest. The chief judge needs to be able to signal you somehow so that you know, to make sure the Toastmaster knows to delay or pause or fill in while the chief judge deals with whatever it is that needs to be dealt with. Also, know what the signal will be when the chief judge is done with the balloting and is able to bring those results back to you. You want to be sure that you're on the same track with that, you're on board of how they're going to give you the information. Okay. Now, during the contest, as contest chair, you'll be monitoring that things are going smoothly. You're the person that's there just to ensure that there's no disruptions that come up that hopefully are already dealt with. Hopefully the Sergeant at Arms will deal with any issues of people coming in. Hopefully everything will run smoothly and you won't have to do anything, and you'll be able to just stand there and watch the contest. But if something happens, then you're the one that has to make certain that it gets taken care of, or you have someone who's handling it. Ensure that you have all of the contest certificates ready. In many cases, the participation certificates can be prepared ahead of time, and then the winner certificates would be prepared by the chief judge when they complete the balloting. You want to be certain that you're coordinating with the chief judge on how you're handling that. It might be that the chief judge will bring you the results and then you write out the names on the winner certificates. But whatever way you handle it, you just want to be sure that that's planned and coordinated so that you can get it smoothly done and then give those certificates to the Toastmaster or bring those up at the end yourself in order to present them to all of the participants. As you will at the end, then, as contest chair, assist the Toastmaster in presenting those certificates, and if you have trophies, presenting those to the winners. Now, after the contest, you're still not finished. You want to coordinate with the chief judge to ensure that the notification of winners is sent to the next level. If you're a club contest, you'll be sending that to your area director. If it's an area contest, you'll be sending that to the division director. Division contest, you'll be sending that to the district program quality director or the district chief judge. And if you're at the district level, you'd be sending that to Toastmasters International. Whatever level it is, you want to ensure that you're sending that notification to the next level. That notification of winners includes the contestant's name and address, contact information, and it includes the placement of every contestant who was not deemed ineligible. Okay, so if you have a club where you have 8 contestants, or you have an area where you have 8 contestants, or a division where you have 8 contestants, you should have 8 names on that list of notification of winners, unless any of them were disqualified for some reason. If they're disqualified for time or determined ineligible or disqualified because of something else during the contest, then they would not appear on the list. But if all of them are eligible and not disqualified, they would all appear on the list placed 1 through 8. Okay? It's important to make sure that you're not just sending the name of the winner, you're sending the entire list of placement in case someone cannot compete and then they have to go down the list. If you have local media or if anyone placed on their profile form information about media to be notified, then get those sent out. Get an announcement sent out. If you have a picture that was taken, that would be great to include with it. But otherwise, just send out the information with the notification out to the appropriate media if you have any that are to be notified for that. And at the contest, be sure to announce the details for the next level. You want to ensure that the contestants that are going to the next level have all the details of where and when to be there so that they can plan for it. Finally, I'm just showing the resources again, the rule book, Toastmasters International, and the district, so that you know that's the most important way to get answers to any other questions that come up. I'm going to place a PDF copy of this presentation in the chat so that you will have that. But I'm now going to open up for questions. I'd be glad to take any questions. Let's see, did everybody fall asleep?
I raised the hand.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I was a timekeeper at the division in 2024, so that shouldn't get in the way, should it?
No, the only conflicts you look at for serving in other roles is during the same year. So if anyone during
Okay.
this current year, if they serve as a contest official in a contest, then they cannot also be a contestant in a contest of the same type.
Yeah. If I'm a contest chair at my local one this year, could I compete in a different area? I mean, I'm sorry, different. It's in a club that is in a different area. than my home club.
You cannot. And I will refer to page 7 of the contest rule book where it actually states, let's see here. See, the following are ineligible to compete in any Toastmaster. Okay, there's a number of individuals that, because of their position, are ineligible to compete, or if they're a candidate. It also states members who are serving in contest official or presenter roles that meet the following criteria: voting judge, tie-breaking judge, or chief judge at any level in any district of the same contest type in which they would be competing. Timer, ballot counter, sergeant at arms, or other contest official role for the same contest in which they would be competing. Presenter of an education session, a contest chair, a contest toastmaster, or an event committee chair for the event at which the contest will be held. But what's relevant to your situation is 7B, which says timer, ballot counter, sergeant at arms, or other contest official role for the same contest in which they would be competing. So if you served as contest chair for a speech contest at one club, that this rule disqualifies you from being a contestant in the speech contest at another club. And that's why it's important to read the contest rule book from Toastmasters International, because there are things like that that might pop up and surprise you. Okay, Molly, go ahead.
Jim, this is a great training, and I was wondering if we could have a copy of the PDF emailed to everyone who registered, or even if I could send it to all presidents or VPE, uh, just whoever are potential, like the potential contest chairs. So, because
Okay.
I find this very helpful, and I remember the first time I was a contest chair at Portland Club last year, 2 years ago. It was very chaotic, especially like reading the whole contest rule book. I don't know if everybody reads the whole book. There's
Yeah, right.
so much information. And also, I have a little tip for people who use AI. You can plug in the whole PDF of the rule contest rule book into ChatGPT or your AI, and just ask questions. Ask it to summarize or have the information you need. So, for example, if you are a contest chair for your club at your club level, then you ask ChatGPT what is the judge eligibility for the club contest, and have ChatGPT make sure it gives you the reference for the page number, so you can go back to read that page in case you don't want to read the whole thing, because there is a lot of information there, and then it talks about everything from the club level to the district level. And if you are just a club contest chair, a lot of things you don't need to know about the district level contest. And it's just easier if you have the different level, like club level, area level, and district level information. So
Right, right. Thanks, Molly. And in terms of sending it out, I'll ask Gabrielle about that, and so she can deal with that, or get it sent out to everyone. The You mentioned the club contest. One thing I want to emphasize for everyone is that at the club level, you are not required to hold a contest at the club level. The club may decide to simply select who their contestant will be. They can do that whatever way the club decides they want to do it. They could have a vote of the members. They could hold a little presentation meeting where a few people speak, and then the club votes on who's going to go ahead, who's going to be first place or second place, third place, or who would be the contestant for the club at the area. So the club does not need to hold a full contest. If you do hold a contest, then you need to apply all of the rules of the contest rule book. One rule, though, that you need to be certain of is that the contestant that you select to represent the club at the area is, in fact, fully eligible as a contestant at the time the club selects them as a contestant. So if you hold a meeting and simply vote to send a contestant forward to the area level, and the contestant says, oh, well, okay, I'm going to give my speech next week to finish my level 2 in pathways, you can't do that, because if they did not complete level 2 prior to being selected by the club as the contestant, they are not eligible. And that's something that I think Dora mentioned earlier during the Q&A, is that Toastmasters International will look back at when you completed the pathways levels to ensure that you were eligible at the time you were selected as a club contestant. So do be certain of that one point. Even if you don't hold a full contest, you want to be absolutely certain that the contestants are eligible before you select them. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I don't see any more questions.
So
If
Jim,
you have any, oh, go ahead.
I am recording this and I will have Phyllis put it up on YouTube, and you're gonna send me this PDF and I am going to put that up on, I'll put a link to it on the D7 website. I've learned the hard way to put the PDF someplace else and then just put a link to it that anybody can access. So,
Okay.
and then Molly will go ahead and send this out to all the club presidents so they can choose to watch the recording if they desire.
Okay, and I did put it in the chat so you should have it in the chat.
Oh yeah, I'll grab it.
Okay. All right. And
Yes, Jim. So that
yeah.
what you just mentioned, that was very useful information that a lot of people would just not realize or just forget, because it's so little. It's like such little details that when you're a contest chair, especially if you're a first-time contest chair, you think you have read everything, you remember everything, but then when the contest starts, you just don't remember everything.
Right.
So
And
what you mentioned, that was very, very, very useful. And also regarding just sending a contestant that the club agrees to, just without holding a contest, that is also very helpful for smaller clubs that don't have enough resources to hold club contests, and they may just think, oh, let's just give up, let's just not do anything. But it's actually just a very that's the simplest way to send a contestant straight to the area. So that is great.
yeah, and in some clubs are small enough that one person volunteers to compete and says, hey, I would like to compete, and nobody else wants to compete. You don't need to hold a club contest. You just notify the area that that person is your contestant. One other thing I wanted to be sure to mention regarding that and the eligibility at the time they are selected to be a contestant. There have been times when someone has asked me, oh, I'm required to have completed levels 1 and 2. Can I give my last level 2 speech at the contest and then become eligible? No. They must have completed level 2 prior to the contest or prior to the selection at the club. If they say they're going to complete their level 2 speech at the contest, or their final level 2 speech at the contest, they're not eligible. They have to complete it before the contest. Even if they do it the day before or a couple days before, as long as they can get it submitted, get it completed, and then get their level 2 completion submitted to Toastmasters International before the contest, then they could compete.
So that's another huge reminder to everyone. It's not only giving the speech, it has to be approved at the Toastmasters International level, which is just your president or your secretary of your club going in and hitting the approved button. But if that button's not clicked, you are not eligible.
Yeah, and that's Hal, regarding your question you put in the chat, the you must have it completed before the contest, and I would say at least the day before the contest, because it has to show up in Toastmasters International that you completed level 2 before the contest is held. If you were to complete it on the day of the contest, it probably wouldn't count because it would show up as the day of, and then they would say, "Oh, you completed it at the day of the contest." No, that's probably not going to be good enough. So it must be at least the day before. So preferably a week before, a month before, whatever. It's just you have to have that level 2 completion showing up in Pathways, showing up on Toastmasters International before the contest, before the club contest. Barbara, go ahead.
Yes, this is so interesting and helpful. Thank you, Jim. Does District 7 have both a contest chair and a chief judge? And if so, can they do their part as a chief judge at one of these other level contests besides district level?
I'll let Gabrielle answer that question.
So we have a chief judge. I do not have a chief contest chair. Dora is a busy person, just like I'm a busy person. So don't expect us to help at the lower levels. It's going to be quite enough for us just to get everything done at the area and division and district levels. But we are totally willing to answer questions.
Thank you.
So one thing I will mention is that at the club level, if you don't get enough people to hold a full contest, don't bother holding a full contest. Do the club selection process without it being a full contest. At the area and division levels, you can request Gabrielle to provide you with a list of people in the district who have DTMs. And if you get that list of people who have DTMs, that would be a good list of people to contact to see if they would be available to serve in a contest chair or chief judge role for you at the area division level. The club level, you can contact people at other clubs. You can contact area directors, other area directors. Sometimes you're able to convince an area director to serve as your chair. It's not always going to be easy because oftentimes they're busy, but a good thing to do is to contact other clubs and work with them. If you want to hold a full contest and you know another club that wants to hold a full contest, coordinate with them to share resources so that some of your members could go help at their contest and some of their members could go help at your contest. Any other questions? I don't see anyone else raising their hands. I don't see any more questions.
Paul has a question in the chat.
Oh, no, how, yeah, I took care of Hal's question, I think. Yeah, right.
Please don't hesitate to email me, pdq@d7toastmasters.org. If I can't answer the question, I will find somebody that can. Dora is our chief judge with a ton of experience. There's also, as Jim mentioned, a whole lot of DTMs and past district governors and past district directors who know all of this stuff backwards and forwards. So don't hesitate to ask me. I might forward your question to someone else, but I will get back to you as best as I can. Jim would love to answer questions. He's been totally helpful to me. And Dora has been absolutely wonderful to work with. So again, if you have any questions, just give us an ask. But that big thing about qualifying is the number one thing. The club has to be in good standing and the member has to be in good standing.
Mhm. And with the earlier discussion that we had about how many clubs compete at the area, how many clubs in good standing there are in the area, oftentimes what you have happen is an area might have 5 clubs that are in good standing, but only 2 of them decide to send a contestant to the area contest. And so you end up with an area contest that only has two contestants, or even 1 contestant. You might have an area contest that only has 1 contestant because only one of the clubs actually decided to send a contestant. You still hold the contest because you still need to ensure that the contestant meets all of the eligibility requirements and that they meet the time requirement for their speech. So you still have to hold the contest even if there's only 1 contestant, because you want to ensure that they meet the time requirement, that they don't get disqualified for any other reason. You also may have the opposite happen in that if an area 8 weeks prior to a contest only has 4 clubs, and so it is determined then that each club will send 2 contestants to the division contest or to the area contest. But then prior to the area contest, a club that was not in good standing comes back into good standing. Now you have 5 clubs. And then a new club charters. Now you have 6 clubs, and you're sending 2 contestants from each club. You could have 12 contestants. So you want to be prepared in case something like that happens. It's not usual, not common, but it could happen. Certainly could happen. And there have been times when we've had contests that had a lot of contestants because of situations like that. So you just want to be prepared for it and watch for it as you get closer to see what's happening so that you know how many contestants are coming for the contest. Okay, any other questions? I don't see any more questions, so should we call this concluded and adjourn? Gabrielle?
Yeah, I'm good with that. That was a great, I think everything got covered efficiently and quickly. And like I said, I'll get Phyllis to help me get this posted in the next couple days.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you everyone who participated and asked good questions.